Welcome to the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing, founder of the Reiki Business Collective and creator of the Build Your Reiki Business program, sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business. Greetings, welcome, and thank you for joining me for this episode of the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. It's Christian of Standing Stones Healing, and I am honored and excited to welcome you. So thank you so very much. Happy second anniversary to the podcast. It has been an honor to bring you the podcast each week over the last 2 years, and I'm excited for the next 2 years of the podcast and beyond. And in order to celebrate the podcast, we have a few things coming up. First, to celebrate the podcast, I'm excited to share with you my brand new Reiki Business Blueprint program. Now, of course, I have the Build Your Reiki Business program. Of course, I have the Distance Reiki Business Builder program for a distance Reiki business. Of course, I have lots of ways to support you on your Reiki business journey, and I'm excited to add yet another one. The Reiki Business Blueprint is a step-by-step guide to help you start your Reiki business with ease. And so if you are thinking, I love Reiki, but I'm not sure how to build a business around it, or I'm starting up and I don't know how to get my first clients, or I've got this vision, Christian, of a Reiki business, but I'm stuck on what to do, and I feel overwhelmed and just wish I had a simple roadmap. Well, I've created it for you with the Reiki Business Blueprint. It's an 8-step system with a simple process for getting you started and moving forward on your Reiki business journey. I've got lots of embedded videos in it, action steps that you can take. It comes with a one-on-one session with me for personalized support. Once you check this program out, you're going to be shocked and amazed because I'm excited to introduce it to you for less than the cost of a single Reiki session. The link to check it out is down below. You can start right now at standingstoneshealing.com/blueprint. The second way we're celebrating the second anniversary of the podcast is with a free workshop on Saturday, March 29th on online classes. In this free workshop, I am going to share with you exactly how you can get started offering online courses in your Reiki business. Yes, the link is down below. Make sure to save your seat. And if you can't join live, you will get the recording. standingstoneshealing.com/online class. No matter what kind of classes you want to teach online in your Reiki business, I'll show you how to do it. And number 3 way that we are celebrating the podcast's second anniversary is this episode is bringing you the most popular episode of the podcast's second year. So coming up in just a minute is going to be a replay of the most popular episode of the podcast's second year. Can you guess what that topic is? Stick around to find out. But finally, the podcast will now be published every other week instead of weekly. Why? Well, anytime that a podcast host makes a change like this, typically it's because they're feeling burned out, they're ready for a break, or they just don't like doing it anymore. None of those are true with the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. For sure, I am not burned out on the podcast or on any aspect of my Reiki business. For sure, I am not slowing down. But the why is because with more than 100 episodes over the past 2 years, there is an archive of Build Your Reiki Business podcast episodes to tune into. And if you are new to the podcast, it's a lot to catch up on and a lot to go through. You will have those episodes to tune in anytime you wish. Publishing every other week will also allow me to do more promotion of the podcast and create space in my schedule for other projects because, full disclosure, I got more books on the way. So I'll be back in 2 weeks with a new episode on this number one most popular topic from the podcast's second year. Yes, the next episode will be about this very popular Reiki business topic. Thank you all so very much for tuning in. It's been just such an honor to bring you the podcast over the last 2 years, and I'm looking forward to the next 2 years and beyond. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sending lots of blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business. Distance Reiki is, when we think about it, pretty incredible. To think that we can send Reiki over time, over distance, over space, forwards in time, backwards in time, to another location is pretty amazing. And I know that for me, distance Reiki has been a very important part of my Reiki business. As a matter of fact, distance Reiki is how my Reiki business started. My Reiki business started on the phone, offering distance Reiki in that way. It then moved to recorded distant Reiki sessions in which I would record myself offering the session and send the recording to the client. It then moved to offering live sessions on Zoom or Facebook Messenger. And so I've done distance Reiki in a lot of different ways over the years in my Reiki business. In a little bit, I'm going to share with you some of the top tips that I have after offering distance Reiki in so many different ways and after so many different sessions. But let's start with some distance Reiki basics. First of all, what the heck is distance Reiki? And how does it even work? Well, honestly, if I had all of the answers to everything in the universe, I know a heck of a lot more than I do. But I want to talk about distance Reiki and how and why it works on a couple of levels. First of all, of course, is the energetic level. You know, the idea that we are all energetically related, that we are all tied to everything else, that really, when we think about energy, I think we can think about it as like a spider web. You know, you pull on one strand and it moves another part of the spider web. And so in that way, we are all interconnected. And we are also always, already, at all times connected to universal life force energy, spiritually guided universal life force energy, which flows through all of us and is part of all of us at all times. And so if we think about it that way on an energetic level, it might make sense that distance Reiki is a thing and that distance Reiki works. I think we can also think of distance Reiki, or at least I should say I think of distance Reiki as like prayer. You know, I believe that prayer works, and there are many who believe that prayer works. And how does prayer work? Well, perhaps one way that prayer works is simply through knowing or believing or recognizing that people are praying for us. And so not only on an energetic level does distance Reiki work, but I believe that it works just simply by means of us being human. Now, let me explain what I mean by this. So if someone says to me, "Oh, I'm praying for you." Now, first of all, some people are going to be like, "Oh my gosh, those are devil words. Don't tell me that you're praying for me. I don't want your Jesus prayers," or whatever. For me personally, like if someone is going to pray for me, I'll be like, "Sure, I'll take it. I need all the prayers I can get." You mean you want to wish me well and send me goodwill? Sure, I'll take it. Even if you're like, "Oh, your soul needs saving, you practice that devil Reiki thing, I'll pray for you." I'll be like, "Sure, thanks for praying for me." It might not have the intended effect that you want it to, but like I said, I need all of the good wishes that I can get. But if we believe that people are sending us good vibes and good wishes, well wishes, prayers, and blessings, I do believe that on a human level, that triggers something in us psychologically that says, "Oh, people care about me. People are wishing for well for me. People want good things for me." And so in that way, I believe that distance Reiki works just like prayer can and does work, just simply knowing that people are sending us good vibes, blessings, best wishes, and want good for us. And so I believe that it can work in that way for sure. Another way that I believe that distance Reiki works is that ritual is powerful. Ritual is a powerful trigger to the brain. And so anytime that we have a Reiki session, whether Reiki works or not, quite frankly, no matter how it works, whether it works on an energetic level or not, I do believe it works on a human psychological level in terms of the power of ritual and the power of that ritual has on our brains. And so what I mean by that is when we set aside time for a Reiki session, whether that's in person or distance, I believe that that is a powerful trigger to the brain that says, I am setting this intention by setting aside this time and to focus on my own healing, my own growth, my own self-care, or whatever the intention might be for the Reiki session. And so I believe that simply setting aside time and having that time for the Reiki session is in itself a powerful ritual that can and does assist us because ritual itself is very powerful. Now, I'm not saying that I don't believe in Reiki as a system for sending or sharing or receiving, or however you want to think of it, universal life force energy. But I do believe that Reiki can and does work on multiple levels, and that includes distance Reiki as well. By the way, is it called distance Reiki or distant Reiki? So I learned in my training that it is called distant Reiki, and I have called it distant Reiki I have called it distant Reiki for many years, but I will say that over the past several years, I've been slowly adopting more and more calling it distance Reiki because that's how most people refer to it. So distant, distance, tomato, whatever, it's all the same. I do want to say for those tuning in who aren't familiar with the system of Reiki that distant Reiki is something that we learn about at level 2 and something that we learn the methods for at level 2. Can you send distance Reiki? Can you offer or share distance Reiki? before you are at level 2. So while you are at level 1, for me personally, I say, yeah, why not? Because we can send prayers, we can send love, we can send blessings. Does it help to know the symbol, and does it help to know the process? Absolutely, because all of that only informs our own level of knowledge and training and ability. And so, yes, I do believe personally that it is important to have reached level 2 before practicing distance Reiki in a professional way. At the same time, I do believe that because we are always already quote unquote attuned to Reiki, that just like with prayer or sending good vibes or love, I think that we can do that for anyone at any time, attunement or no attunement. And yet, of course, I do want to emphasize the importance of honoring the system of Reiki and adhering to your level of training when it comes to our Reiki business. So, how do we do distance Reiki? How can we use distant Reiki in our Reiki business? Well, like I said, I have offered distance Reiki in all different kinds of ways. Everything from the phone for individuals to online groups live to recorded sessions to anything that you might think of in terms of distance Reiki. I've done it. And so when it comes to our Reiki business, adding distance Reiki is something really great because it opens up just an absolute world of possibilities for our Reiki business. Now, like I said, this is how my Reiki business started. And so I started with offering distance sessions. And I can say for absolute certain, I've done more distance Reiki sessions than I have in-person sessions because that's how my business started, and because I've been doing the distance sessions for so long that I've done more of them than I have in-person sessions. And so I would say that when it comes to distant Reiki, I really advocate, I feel in my experience, that the most powerful distance sessions are live, scheduled sessions in which someone is booking a time, setting that time aside, and meeting with us on Zoom or Facebook Messenger or wherever else, whatever kind of software we might use, even on the phone, also very powerful. But the idea here is that someone is specifically scheduling a time in which they meet with us. We are meeting with them live. We're able to interact with them live, send Reiki live, have live discussions. It's all live. And I believe that this is most powerful, at least again, it has been in my Reiki business experience after having done it so many different ways. I believe that this is the most powerful because, again, of that intentionality behind setting aside the time, showing up live, being able to interact with the client, to have a discussion with them, to give them the honor of our time, to put our attention and focus on them for that appointment time. I believe this is the most powerful because of that power of not only the intention setting, but also the ritual of Reiki itself. For many of us, at least for myself and for many practitioners, when we offer a Reiki session, it is in itself very ritualized. There is a beginning, that we go through a process. There is the session, there is the after session, the follow-up, and it's all very ritualistic. Of course, as a system, Reiki is very ritualistic, and of course, as a Japanese system, Reiki is very ritualistic. I mean, just look at something like the tea ceremony, for instance, as another example, highly ritualized, highly ceremonialized. And we know that ritual and ceremony have a lot of power. This is something that ancient cultures have known and have practiced for a very long time, and our modern day science has only finally caught up with what those ancient cultures knew about the power of ritual for growth and healing. Now, if we offer Reiki when it's not live, it's still going to work. It's still going to have an impact, of course. And if nothing else, just like sending someone the positive vibes, the person who is receiving the distance Reiki is going to know that good intentions are coming their way. And that, I believe, in and of itself is powerful. So I do recommend for our distance Reiki sessions with clients to have them scheduled ahead of time, to meet with the client and to devote that time to them, because I believe that our clients deserve that. Now you can see exactly how I conduct a distance Reiki session on videos on my YouTube channel. I'll drop the link down below to a specific recording so that you can check it out and take a look and see exactly how I run a distance session. But you can do your distance sessions in any way that feels right to and resonates with you, just like for in-person sessions as well. And so there's no one right way to do it. By the way, do you have to start off in one particular way by drawing the distance symbol? And do you have to do this? And do you have to do it that way? No, you don't. I can tell you that there are plenty of times when I will do a distance session and not use the distance symbol at all. Oh, yes, I said that. And guess what? It still worked. And so it's absolutely okay. You know, I think sometimes we do get very invested in the process and adhering to a very defined set of steps. Now, again, with the idea of ritual, if that resonates with you and feels right to you, then absolutely go with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's also okay to depart from that and to do things in the ways that resonate with us. And so, for instance, I might not draw the distance symbol before I start a distance session, but I will do things every time, like ring a bell to let the client know that I'm starting the session, or play a particular kind of music, of course, with the client's permission. And so as we offer more and more sessions, we really come to a point of developing our own way of doing it. One of the great things about distance Reiki is its flexibility, and that means that, of course, we can have group sessions, and we can offer distance Reiki to groups as well as individuals. And so this is great for an online event that you might offer, where you set it up almost kind of like a workshop, where you have a particular day, a particular time, and then have people sign up, meet on Zoom, and offer a group Reiki session in that way. And, you know, sometimes people are like, well, how do you do that? How do you send Reiki to a group? Well, you just send to the group. You can also send to individuals as well. I've done this a number of ways myself, where I might start off sending Reiki to the group and then send to individuals within the group. depending upon the group, depending upon the size, depending upon the event, online, in person, whatever it might be. I've done it all different kinds of ways. But you can do this all different kinds of ways as well. Some of my tips for distance Reiki sessions are to, number one, simplify the scheduling process. And so if you want to offer distance Reiki in your Reiki business, to simplify that scheduling process so that you're not going back and forth on a time to meet, but rather you have the option for someone to easily and quickly schedule, ideally that they can pay and schedule at the same time. This is always the best. It's anything that is simple for our clients and that makes the process easier for our clients is better for us, is simpler for us oftentimes as well. And so having a scheduler that takes payment is really the best way to do it. That's my first tip. My second tip, of course, is to treat it with as much professionalism as you would an in-person session. And so for an in-person session, you're going to bring a level of professionalism depending upon the space, whether it's your office or a client's home, your home, wherever it might be, just making sure that the area behind your camera is uncluttered, that it looks inviting, that it's not chaotic, and that it really helps to facilitate a peaceful, harmonious, healing kind of experience. Number three, make sure that the client has choice. And so allow them to choose whether they want to have their camera on or off. Allow them to choose whether or not there is music and if the music is okay. Allow them to choose whether or not you share any information that you might have received. I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but it definitely bears repeating that receiving information or messages is not part of the system of Reiki. Many of us do, and many of us do pass that information along, but always we want to make sure to have client permission to do so, and always we want to make sure that we are not doing more harm than good with the messages that we convey and the ways in which we share them. And finally, I personally like to follow up with my clients. So after I've had a session with them, I like to follow up with them, several days up to a week later. Now, I will say that sometimes I'm better with this than others. Of course, depending upon my client load and what I have going on. But I do like to follow up. Just send a note, whether it's an email or on Messenger, wherever it might be, just to say, hey, thanks again for meeting with me, a few days ago, last week, whatever. Just wanted to check in and see how you're doing. And it's as simple as that. I'd like to follow up with all of my clients afterward. I believe this is also a great practice for in-person sessions as well. And really a lot of the things that we might do for an in-person session, we can bring to our distance sessions as well. Now, if you are looking to have a distance Reiki business and you too love the flexibility of it, love the ability to offer Reiki in your sweatpants, love to be able to do so from the comfort of your own home, I will tell you it has some amazing perks. It is incredible to be able to offer Reiki to anyone in the world from the comfort of your own home. It's really pretty remarkable. It is a true honor and a true privilege. And so if you are looking to do the same, I really want to encourage you that building a distance Reiki practice can and does take time. So often, Reiki practitioners will throw up a couple of posts on Facebook saying that they're offering distance sessions. No one will respond, and then they'll say something like, oh, well, no one is interested in distance Reiki. When the truth is, like any aspect of our Reiki business, it can and does take time to grow and build. And we really do need to be putting ourselves out there. And we really do need to be making people aware of what we offer. And if you're looking to grow a distance Reiki business with a primarily online audience, meaning that they meet you online, that can take even longer to build because it can take longer for people to get to know you, for people to like you and trust you enough to have a session with you. What this all means is that building a distance Reiki business isn't always easy. For as easy as it is to start a distance Reiki business, I mean, all you need is an internet connection. For as easy as it is to start a distance Reiki business, it's not easy to really get it going. That's why I created the Distance Reiki Business Builder program. I'll drop that link down below where you can learn more. It walks you through the whole process of starting a distance Reiki business, growing it, all of the things that you don't know that are really important to know, as well as more tips from my own experience on building a distance Reiki business, offering sessions in all different kinds of ways. So more tips for your distant Reiki sessions. So do you offer distance Reiki in your Reiki business? Drop it down in the comments for us if you are on YouTube, or join us in the Reiki Business Collective and tell us all about it at facebook.com/groups/Reiki Biz. Sending so many blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business. Thanks for tuning in to the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, and send to a friend. Learn more about the Build Your Reiki Business program at standingstoneshealing.com/build. Sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business.